You're about to enjoy a Cloudcast original. Local stories, local storytellers, local brands.
Have you ever felt that you as a woman may not appear to measure up when you see incredible women in strong roles? You may be surprised when hearing from women in these positions and how we all share many of the same challenges. Thank you for joining us for the SheEO Lead-In podcast with Rebecca Jones as we share the journeys of women.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Jones, your host of SheEO Lead-In. We are on an exploration together to discover more about the personal journeys of incredible women in both career and life. We all have paths to share that sometimes take incredible turns, deep resilience, and courage to navigate. My hopes are that the challenges shared here encourage women to take leaps of faith and growth when a journey feels too difficult or unachievable. There is great strength deep within each one of us. These stories are meant to share the ways strong women have taken their dreams to strive and thrive to new heights, despite their sometimes rocky paths, and found a way to lead in. Today we are here with Hannah Jaime, the Executive Director of Helping Paws. But you know what, Hannah, you do a few things. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing now?
I do. I'm very fortunate to be involved in a number of organizations, both San Diego Veterans Coalition, San Diego Gives, MOWW. But my job is being with Helping Paws as the executive director. And, we help provide low and no-cost veterinary care for troops and veterans in need. And the whole point is to really just keep them united with their pets that they love so dearly.
So what happens when a veteran goes overseas? What happens to their pets? Do they sometimes stay at a care facility, or how does that work?
One of the things I love is we collaborate as much as possible. So there are organizations designed specifically to do something like that. Dogs on Deployment is a wonderful nonprofit who helps with foster care during deployments. We focus on helping with veterinary care because when something happens, those bills add up very quickly, and you might not be able to suddenly afford a $4,000 bill. We had two cases just today, and someone said, I spent $1,000 yesterday. I need another $1,000. I don't have it, and I'm going to have to put my dog down. And so that's where we step in to say, we're going to help you as much as we can.
Well, the interesting thing is, I think it's not just veterans that actually have that problem. The truth is, a lot of people really don't see these things coming, and they're their babies. They're their children. They're their fur babies. And so I love that you're doing that. I think that's a great cause. And I didn't even know about what you did. So I'm really excited to hear about that. So I just want to go back a little bit. So you were on the news, correct? Why don't you share a little bit about that?
Yes, I did that about 12 years. I was with NBC in Phoenix and ABC here in San Diego, and I had a focus on military. I absolutely loved it. I was looking for something a little bit more meaningful to have more of a direct day-to-day impact. And I did a story on Helping Paws, and that mission just to save animals and support our troops just really grabbed hold of my heart because I have a world of respect for our service members and our veterans, and I'm a huge animal lover. So the two causes combined, it all just clicked.
Well, I think it's interesting how that happened. You were introduced to them and you thought, I need to actually be involved in this in a greater way. I love that. So do you have one word that describes you as a woman, as a person? We have all these different labels for ourselves, but tell me something that you think covers everything that you are.
I would say determined. I just decide what I want and I do whatever I can to achieve it. I will say, though, honesty is very important to me. Integrity, but I think determined.
Awesome. Okay, so you've been with Helping Paws for how long?
Since 2018.
2018. So prior to the pandemic, have you seen a shift in what has happened during the pandemic?
Absolutely. Both in the impact animals have and in the financial side, the fundraising side, the impact's incredible. I have seen so many veterans who already rely on their pets, but even more so. You have that isolation, people maybe already struggling with depression, and it just helps bridge that gap. Having that sense of purpose, that unconditional love's incredible. But also, on the fundraising side, we did lose some of our key supporters, our key donors, and understandably, they just weren't able to contribute as they had in the past. So we had to really adapt and learn how to try things differently. We didn't have the traditional sit-down fundraisers where everyone is packed in and, as much as can be. So we've taken to the internet and different online auctions, silent auctions, a lot of different peer-to-peer fundraising techniques, and just learn to adapt to accommodate for that.
And innovate.
Yes.
I love the way that, we see these difficult times, but we figured it out, right? There were all these different things where people thought, well, it's never going to be the same. Right, it's not the same. But the true thing is in life, everything is always going to evolve and change somewhat. And I think now we really are at a point where we are seeing different fundraisers. And I think people enjoy it. They still want to have that camaraderie and they still want to support good causes. And I think your cause is really a great one. But how do you measure success in fundraising? I mean, that is a very tough thing, but there's also has to be some sort of tangible way of measuring success and then also failure.
And we do have all the programs where we can pull the reports and look at what we're bringing in. I think it's important to make sure it relates to what's going out to the need in the community. And, we can only bring in so many cases without bringing in new donors. So we have to look at those numbers and make sure that it does make sense.
Okay, so why don't you talk a little bit about balance? I know that looks very different at certain times in your life. Sometimes you think, oh, I'm doing so great. And then other times you feel like, oh, gosh, I'm failing. Anyway, for me, I can speak to that. Tell me what that actually looks like for you.
Well, you just figure out a way to make it work. Just as though, when I came in here and I said, which topic am I being interviewed about again? Because, you do latch on to one cause you care about, and then there's another and another and another. And there's so many great charities out there. It's hard to say no. So for me, I just get it all on my calendar, chip away. But I do make sure to make time for my family at the end of the day.
And do you have kids?
I have a fur baby.
A fur baby.
It's our dog,
a fur baby.
So Miss Charlotte is our baby.
Well, now Charlotte's probably like a toddler. Most animals are. They're like a toddler. They want your love and attention, and they don't realize, well, I have to go to work right now. So how does that look? I mean, are you? And I think that's great because that's a reminder too of what you do every day and how much you can actually have that tangible situation of what the vets are going through too, and you got to keep those animals healthy. So tell me how that looks for you.
And she knows she has to go to work because she goes with me.
That's great.
Yes, my husband jokes that I'm the one with the separation anxiety. During COVID, I was working from home for a little bit, and I was next to Miss Charlotte all the time. And so when I went back to the office, well, I'll just take her with me. And so I take her with me to work. And she is a 46-pound lap dog. She's a big old bulldog, and she is very much a teeny tiny lap dog in her mind.
What kind is she? I love that.
An English bulldog, and she is beautiful with the big teeth and slobbers.
Lots of slobber for sure. So as a woman, have you had any barriers that you see that have been significant in your career?
I think my biggest hurdle was learning everything about a nonprofit. I left the news world because I had this passion and drive. I knew I wanted to do it, but truth be told, I did not know the first thing about nonprofits or fundraising. So I just rolled up my sleeves and went to work, and it seemed to work out. And we've had incredible increases, really tremendous growth, and I just found a way to make it happen. I am the only employee and have been the only employee. So luckily we have Google out there. So just a lot of research, a lot of webinars, a lot of studying, asking questions, and talking to people.
And finding out people that would want to support you and trying to cultivate those relationships. And the great thing is relationships are nothing new to you. So the fact that you have those sorts of relationships being able to go out and kind of evolve that into something different. Hey, I've got this great cause, and how can you help, and how would you like to help? I think that's probably been pretty helpful for you.
Those are critical through every aspect of life. I mean, yes, having those relationships, making those connections, making sure they're meaningful, and realizing that you can learn a little something from everyone does make a big difference.
So let's talk about role models for a minute. I'm sure you probably have several in your life, but specifically to your newest endeavor, what does that look like as far as people? Because again, you're like, well, I've been Googling this and I Google that, which is great. But do you have like any people that maybe have steered you to, oh, why don't you try this or that? Do you have any
I
that
will
you'd like
say
to
in
share?
terms of mentors, Gary Rossio, a local Air Force veteran who helped found San Diego Veterans Coalition, has been incredible, always supportive, always pushing me, always there for me and teaching me. Sharon Goodson of San Diego Gives, just an amazing person who is always trying to help me, guide me, set up networking connections for me. And those people really stand out because they do it so selflessly.
And Sharon is literally everywhere. I mean,
So you know Sharon.
I don't think I've ever. Yeah, of course. I don't think I've ever spoken to anyone in the nonprofit world that has not heard of her. She really is everywhere, and I love that. And I think it's mostly just San Diego County, but I could be wrong. But there are a lot of nonprofits in San Diego. I don't even know how many there are, but there are a lot of them. And I think it's pretty interesting that she does take that time, because I know she's very busy. But I do love that she takes that time and she really nurtures these relationships and encourages. And during COVID, it was such a tough time for our small businesses. But I tell people all the time, the nonprofits were the ones that really, really dried up the funding and all of that. And they were so critical to all the things that we were going through as a society. And so I'm just kind of curious, what are your thoughts about people like her that actually take that time?
They make a world of difference, more than they'll probably ever know. I know
agree.
Sharon and Lauren Welch put together Fundraising Fridays. It's something I very much enjoy doing. It's just a free Zoom call every Friday morning, and you just work together to figure out what works, what doesn't, and how we can support each other. It's just you walk away feeling so positive and good, and hopefully with some new information, and hopefully you've helped someone else. They also started San Diego Gives, which I'm on the steering committee of, and we had our second year, this past September, we had 327 nonprofits, raised over $1 million for them. And all that money stayed right here in San Diego County. And the whole goal was to help strengthen the community we know and love. And so just people like that being behind these causes, these collaborations, really make our community a better place.
Well, it's kind of interesting. I think all different nonprofits all serve something a little bit different, right? They're not just all serving one community, but I think they're also very complementary. And that's why I think kind of people like Sharon Goodson, they looking at the whole network and trying to help each other. I'm sure there's a lot of introductions of nonprofits that can help you in a better way too. How does that look? I mean, can you share a little bit about that?
I said it earlier, but I mean, collaboration is huge. And in my eyes, I think it makes a tremendous difference. So I'm also part of San Diego Veterans Coalition, because that is specific to military and veteran serving organizations, leaders, businesses, all coming together to work together to better serve our service members. But also, you'll see throughout that nonprofit community working with forming these alliances, with the different animal welfare groups for me, and everyone kind of has their own arena that they're in, but can really be stronger when they work together.
So lessons learned. Do you have any that you would like to share with our listeners today, young women that maybe they could apply to their own lives as well?
I think always keep your compass pointed true north. You can't ever go wrong when you do that. And do your research. For me, that's always been huge. I don't go into a meeting or an event without knowing just about everything there is to know. Probably a little too much, because so much is on the internet. But I always want to know going into it, what I'm going into, who I'm going to meet, and then really listening to them and learning what they've been through.
And what makes them tick.
Yes, exactly.
And, I think there's a lot of wisdom in knowing when to ask questions and when to actually listen to, because I had this discussion even earlier. I'm going to be a student of learning for the rest of my life. Until the moment that I take my last breath, I'm hoping that I learn something every day, because it helps you, grow as a person, but then you can also make a better impact on the people that are around you. And, kind of back to what you were saying about Sharon, the way that she has, cultivated this nonprofit world, really. I mean, and it is a big world, but it's also necessary too, because again, back to the whole collaboration, you can't just have nonprofits standing alone, and you can't just have regular businesses that are standing alone, because they complement each other in so many different ways and filling the different needs. And I think during COVID, we really, found this great need for mental health and wellness that we didn't even know existed. And I think actually we'll be probably learning a lot from here on out, and just all the ways that the pandemic has really affected each one of us. And, thinking about kind of moving forward, what are your thoughts about how you might be evolving and how you might be filling more needs? I don't know.
Well, I think that's especially true for the veteran community. As we talk about mental health, of course, that's going to take a toll on anyone when you're dealing with that isolation, the uncertainty, so many changes, inflation, everything, you name it. But when you're also considering a veteran who has come into this civilian world and has gone through the transition and doesn't have that camaraderie anymore, that's hard. It's something I can't even begin to understand. I will say with animals, that's just why they mean so much, why they matter, because that love is unconditional. And I can't tell you how many times a veteran has told me they would have taken their own life if we couldn't help. That's pretty powerful. When you think about just the possibility that just for one day you could help change that statistic of veteran suicide, it really touches your heart.
So where do you go to, talk to people about, oh, hey, we have this service and we want to help you. How do you find your people that are in need? Just referral?
They usually find us. We're in all the directories. I reach out to all the other organizations, make sure they know, 211 San Diego, the Community Information Exchange. We're in their directory. So if someone does call and they need help saving their military pet, they'll be referred to us. There are a number of other directories we're in as well. And just that outreach, the constant outreach through San Diego Veterans Coalition, Military Order of World War, San Diego Gives, you name it, out there. It's out there. Social media, e-blasts, I just put it out there as much as I can.
Well, you're the right person for it because you've done things like that in the past. So you're very passionate about this, but and that one chance meeting, I think really changed everything for you, didn't it?
The news story.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Hannah, all great things that you're doing. I'm really very excited for you to share all of this. I guess if you were to walk into a room, nobody knows you, what would be some advice that you would give them to help them in their journey to become a leader and start something new on their own?
I would say connections. We touched on it a little bit, but they are just so important and can make all the difference. And you never know who will actually help you. If you're just kind to them and good to them and maintain that relationship, you don't know who they know or what opportunity they might be aware of that's the perfect fit for you. So just building them, establishing them and growing those relationships.
And having those discussions, taking that moment in time. I think, I talk a lot about this too. A lot about this is showing up to things, talking to people, and again, listening to what they have to say. Because again, the relationship part, you never know who they're going to connect you to. They might be someone that is vital in all of your story of what you're going to do. But let's talk a little bit about, I find it very interesting, news, and then your connection to, moving forward with veterans and helping them with their pet bills, which a lot of people don't even realize they can be just almost as costly, not as costly as having surgery for a human, but very costly as like a regular emergency room visit and all of that. Where do you actually talk to veterinarians and that sort of thing and tell them about this service that you provide, or how does that work?
We have 3 participating animal hospitals. They are in Carlsbad, Vista, and Escondido. And so we do work with them, and they will give us a discount to help a little bit with the bill. And so there's a process we have where we do vet the candidates and determine if they really do have a financial hardship and proof of military service. And then we can connect with the hospital and go over a treatment plan and determine how much help they need.
So what's your website?
HelpingPawsSanDiego.org.
Well, that's pretty easy.
Yeah, visit it today.
Okay. And you did mention a little bit earlier that you've had two separate incidents or people that you were helping this morning. Tell me about those, if you don't mind, just kind of how they got connected to you and maybe the depth of what they're going through right now, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There was one woman, and she's in the Navy, and they have a dog. She just had a child, I believe, 2 months ago, so things are already tight for them. And this was her first baby, her fur baby, and she was just in tears, saying he has not eaten for 2 weeks. He's just lethargic, and he won't make it. And she started talking about not knowing what to do and that they are out of money. And then in connecting with the clinic, it sounded as though euthanasia was another option for them if they couldn't afford it. So, jumped in and covered the cost of that. The other, I'm still getting information in, but he's very concerned about his dog. But some of these stories are just incredible, where people are actually in the process. I've walked in as someone was FaceTiming with her husband who was deployed, and he was saying goodbye to their dog, Bo, because he'd eaten the cover, the military hat. And it was going to be a $7,000 surgery, and they just couldn't afford it. Young enlisted family with one income, and they were in tears, crying, saying goodbye. And then, we found out, and I connected with them, and we were able to save the dog. And they could not have been happier. And, as a spouse, she relies on the dog, and then she would have been truly alone during that deployment. So hearing those stories, I could go on for days, but they truly can have a profound impact.
So you're bringing hope to these families. You're bringing hope to these veterans, helping them figure out how to move forward with their babies and helping get them healthy. I love that. What's next for you?
That's a good question.
I
don't
think
know.
there's a lot. I think there's a lot that you want to do, but I kind of want to hear a little bit about what you think the next steps might be in your career.
Being back in the studio, it does make me miss this a little bit. Doing the interviews, I do miss telling veteran stories through their words. And, I would shoot and write and edit my own stories. And I do miss, there's something magical about that. And hearing maybe a Vietnam veteran speak about his experience for the first time, or her experience, helping World War II veteran receive his long overdue medals. There's something really special about that. So I miss that, and I would pursue incorporating that into my world in the future.
Well, I was just going to say, I think you're giving me ideas. I think there is a way to bring that together and have those stories collide. I think with your mission. I don't know if collide's the right word, but essentially weave them into what you're doing, because I think they're very compelling. And knowing these stories about how these folks have gone through such, difficulties. I know I am very grateful for my freedom, but I can't begin to know what it's like to be a veteran and to be in those really tough circumstances. And then, when many of them come home, there were a lot of instances where they haven't been treated right. And, I think sometimes we forget, and I think that is a compelling story to tell, to bring into what you're doing, because people need to remember. I think one of the things that I don't think our youth even understand is when you lose a lot of the history of how things happened, you can't really appreciate what it would be like without those people sacrificing the way that they have. And, certainly with Veterans Day just passed here, sitting down and talking to veterans, I think it's really important for us to always bring a lot of respect to our veterans and all the things that they do. And I love that you're doing something in a small way. It's actually not a small way, but, in your own way of giving back after being able to share these stories and understanding what some of the sacrifices have been, to actually bring a sacrifice to these folks to help them with their pets that are their fur babies, which sometimes can be their best friend in a lot of cases, and their child, all of that. So anyway, I love it.
Thank you. Absolutely. And the one man we're helping today, he is homeless, and he's been trying to get a job. So his dog is really all he has. But the importance of it, you talk about we need to remember, and that is so important, especially here. I mean, it's home to the world's largest military hub right here in San Diego County.
Absolutely. So, down at Rosecrans and all that, I mean, it's so beautiful. And, San Diego County is a huge military area. I have several military, one present and mostly past, though, in my family, too. I think that anything that we can do, even if it's something like with our pets, like you're doing, anything that moves forward. But I would love to see you do the stories telling and having that as part of your mission and what you're doing, because it really is compelling.
I love hearing that. You're inspiring me to go on to do something else. I don't know how I'm going to keep that balance, though, with my schedule.
Well, you know what? Again, we all have moments. And I think every part of our life journey is, a season. Maybe the season isn't right today, but, keep that in mind, because I really do feel like it is compelling. And I think hearing, the why is so important about what you're actually doing. The why. And that is, bringing that respect and understanding to what folks have given and sacrificed is a really important reason of why you do what you do. I can tell it drives you.
It does.
I could see it. Yeah, I could see it in your face. So anyway, thank you so much, Hannah. Really appreciate our time together. And keep doing what you're doing and spreading love and, hope to our military.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now that was powerful. We hope you've been lifted and encouraged by today's inspiring voice. Always remember that life doesn't look exactly the same for each one of us. Never stop dreaming, striving, and thriving. In future episodes, we look forward to bringing you powerful stories from amazing women who learned how to lead in to challenges. Thank you for listening and being part of our community with SheEO host, Rebecca Jones.
You have been listening to a Cloudcast original. Local stories, local storytellers, local brands. Find more stories at cloudcast.us.